Our movie starts with a teenage boy named Jim who enjoys watching movies. Just as he's about to play one, his mother catches him and he starts to panic. When his father arrives, he hears the sound of a woman wailing on the television. At school, Jim has good friends named Kevin and Chris. Things change when Stifler joins their group and invites them along with Paul to his party, promising there will be sexy college girls. Before leaving the Virgin Gym, they talk about what it feels like to do it and start discussing their worries about how to lose their virginity. At Stifler's party, sexy college girls are already mingling. Kevin and Jim are drinking beers, chatting, and flirting when Sherman walks in and announces that he wants to sleep with one of the guests. Kevin's girlfriend, Vicky, moves closer to him. Meanwhile, Jim notices Nadia, the hottest girl at the party. She smiles at him, and he smiles back. He tries to approach her, but becomes too clumsy and walks away. Chris, meanwhile, is in a car with one of the attractive college girls, who teaches him how to treat a lady with respect. There's just some things you need to learn, that's all. Like what? Well, you've got to tone it down. You don't need to come to a place like Lookout Point and spout off cheeseball wines to be romantic. Kevin tries to make a move on Vicky, but she refuses, saying she's not ready. Then Stifler shows up, unaware of the situation, and accidentally drinks from a cup that Kevin had used to prepare himself. Stifler starts to feel sick and throws up, which disgusts him. Later that night, the nerdy Sherman calls Jim and Kevin to show off a girl he claims to have hooked up with. The next morning, they see Sherman downstairs with the girl. Shocked and amazed, Sherman tells them he lost his virginity and is now a real man. Jim and Kevin find this hard to believe, especially Kevin, who has spent months trying with Vicky but hasn't succeeded. Kevin then suggests to Chris, Finch, and Jim that they all make a pact. They will lose their virginity before they graduate from high school. Here's the deal. We all get laid before we graduate. Chris joins a school choir group filled with goody two-shoes students. Kevin, Stifler, and Jim sit in the back of the auditorium feeling weird about seeing Chris with them. Chris says he's trying to win a prize. Paul catches attention by playing golf on the school lawn with the choir girls. Kevin questions his strategy until a girl approaches them and seems interested. Kevin later calls his wise older brother for advice on how to please Vicky. His brother tells him to go to the library and look for a manual. A girl asks Paul if he has a date for prom, and he says no, but keeps his answer vague. After a choir performance, a girl named Heather compliments Chris and tells him he did well. He says he wants to get to know her better. Meanwhile, Jim goes home and sees a freshly baked pie his mom made. He imagines the pie as a woman and begins fantasizing. His dad catches him in the act, but doesn't get angry. It's normal for a boy his age. After a game, Chris finds Heather waiting on the sidelines. She thanks him for his skills and asks him to prom. Suddenly, Stifler appears and starts doing seductive dance moves as a joke. Chris joins in the laughter, but Heather seems unsure about him after that. Later, Kevin tries a tornado tongue technique on Vicky, which leaves her feeling like she's in heaven. Nadia then asks Jim to help her with history homework and tells him she'll be coming over the next day. That same day, Heather sees Chris laughing at Stifler's joke and thinks he's a jerk, so she cancels their prom plans. Jim tells Stifler about Nadia visiting, and Stifler convinces him to install a webcam in his room so everyone can watch Nadia change. When she arrives, all the boys gather to watch via livestream. As Nadia undresses, Jim runs hysterically to Kevin's house to join the others. Nadia finds Jim's collection of magazines and begins to touch herself. Jim rushes back but pauses outside his room when he hears her crying. Just then, Sherman calls to say the email with the webcam link was sent to the entire East High student directory. Everyone is watching. Jim enters and surprises Nadia, telling her it's her turn to see him undress. He does so, unaware that the whole school is still watching. Before he can touch her, Nadia asks him to play with her, but Jim finishes prematurely, leaving her disappointed. He tries to compliment her by saying she's more exotic than a magazine model, but it doesn't help. The next day, the whole school laughs at Jim. He doesn't even realize what happened until someone tells him Nadia has already boarded a plane back home. Feeling hopeless, Jim wonders if he's just bad with girls. Every time he tries to talk to one, he messes up. Eventually, he asks geeky Michelle to prom, and she seems happy to say yes. Chris visits his father's workplace, where he sees Heather arriving. She apologizes to him, and he prepares her a hot dog. They talk about what majors they'll study after graduation.
Chris tells her he can't do the singing competition because it's the same day as his final lacrosse game. Heather supports whatever decision makes him happy. Even though Heather seems sad, Chris plays in the lacrosse game, but isn't enjoying it. He eventually realizes his heart isn't in it, so he leaves the championship match to join Heather for a duet performance. Meanwhile, the rest of the team rushes back to the sidelines to regroup with the coach. Heather waits on stage with the group as Chris enters and kisses her. They flirt throughout their duet. join hands at the end and receive enthusiastic applause from the crowd. Meanwhile, Vicky tells Kevin in front of everyone, including Jim, that she wants to stay with him. Kevin is astonished. Prom is about to begin and all the students are rushing to look their best. As they enter the school, Kevin and Vicky dance gracefully together while Chris and Heather share a passionate dance. Jim, however, doesn't seem thrilled about dancing with Michelle. Kevin reminds his friends of their pact to lose their virginity before graduation, saying, "Tonight has to be the night." But Paul and Jim have lost interest in the idea, leaving Kevin feeling alone. Adding to the chaos, it turns out Sherman's quote was a lie. His girlfriend takes over the band's microphone and publicly announces that she has never had sex with him. Sorry to interrupt, I just thought you all should know this. Chuck Sherman is a liar. I never had sex with him. He's never had sex with anyone. Embarrassed, Sherman ends up wetting himself in front of everyone.
Kevin's voice is low and disappointed as he leaves with Jim, Chris, and Paul to go to Stifler's party. Eventually, despite his doubts, Kevin agrees to go through with the plan. That night, each of them has their own experience. Kevin takes Vicky to the bedroom. Chris and Heather spend a romantic evening together by the lake. As they talk, Heather blushes when Chris confesses that he originally wanted to lose his virginity before graduation, but now realizes he should value her feelings above his own. Meanwhile, Stifler's attractive mother approaches Paul and asks where his date is. Paul replies that he didn't bring one and pours her a drink. Their flirtation quickly turns more intense. Paul, slightly drunk, tells her how sexy she is. She pulls him in and they end up having sex on the pool table. Back at the party, Jim is trying his best to stay focused on Michelle's endless ramblings. He doesn't expect her to be so assertive, but she turns out to have a surprisingly lusty side. So are we gonna screw soon? 'Cause I'm getting kind of antsy. The following morning, Stifler searches for his mother. When he unlocks the door and walks in, he freezes in shock at what he sees and collapses. And this is how our movie ends. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.